I'm Tricia, a California organic gardener. Onions, leeks, and shallots are all staples in the kitchen, and they're good for you, healthy for your heart. Today we're going to be fall planting onions and leeks from transplants and shallots and onion sets from bulbs. Onions can be grown a few different ways, either from transplants, from onion sets, or you can start your own onion seeds. Onion sets are mini dormant onion bulbs which will grow into big onions. Onion transplants are live onion plants that look like scallions. And finally, there's onion seed that you can plant and grow your own transplants. Onions are classified as long day, short day, or intermediate day. This is less confusing than it sounds. The closer to the Earth's poles you live, the more your hours of daylight vary throughout the year. Long day onions need daylight reaching 14 to 16 hours in order to bulb. Short day onions start to bulb when they get about 10 hours of daylight. Intermediate day varieties bulb up when the light is between 12 and 14 hours. Long story short, if you live in the north, plant long day. In the south, short day. And intermediate day just about everywhere. The only places intermediate day won't do well are South Florida or South Texas. These tasty alliums can be planted in the spring or the fall. But between October and December is a great time to plant onions and leeks in just about everywhere in the U.S. Gophers love onions, shallots, garlic, and leeks, and I have gopher wire installed at the bottom of all my raised beds. If you don't, I suggest that you start with gopher wire as a first step. Use wire meant for gophers. It has smaller holes than chicken wire and is stronger than aviary wire. The wire is also galvanized to prevent it from rotting in the ground. All of these plants are heavy feeders, so I'm going to be sure and add compost, blood meal for nitrogen, and bone meal for phosphorus. Add 1 cup of equal parts blood meal and bone meal to every 10 feet of row. Rows should be at least 8 inches apart for onions and 24 to 36 inches apart for leeks. Organic matter is important. Loose soil will help size up the bulbs, so I'm going to add some organic matter like compost. Onions can live up to 3 weeks from their bulb. So it doesn't matter what the tops look like. If the bulbs are nice and firm, the onions are viable. I'm ready to plant the onion transplants. Before I plant, I'm just going to trim the tops a little back to the healthy green part. Plant your onions about 4 to 6 inches apart and about 1 to 2 inches deep. To plant your onion sets, you want to do the same spacing as the transplants, but you want to plant a little bit shallower. Make sure that the little root hairs are pointed down. In colder climates, it's a good idea to use some mulch. I'm going to use straw. For the leeks, I'm going to dig a 6-inch deep trench. As the leeks start to grow, I'm going to start hilling them in order to blanch the stems. Plant the leeks about 2 to 6 inches apart. Leeks send their leaves up exactly opposite one another, so you want to plant the leeks so that the leaves grow into the aisles rather than into each other. The leeks will be ready to harvest when they're about 2 inches in diameter. They're very cold hardy, but you want to make sure and harvest them before it gets too hot, or they might bolt. For shallots, we're going to plant each individual bulb, which means we may need to separate the bulbs from one another. You want to plant the shallots about 7 to 9 inches apart. Plant them blunt or hairy root side down. And make sure that the tops are just touching the surface of the soil. Shallots will grow more bulbs from the central bulb, so make sure you give them adequate space. Also, since the tops are showing, some birds like pigeons get curious and might try to pull them up. If you have those kind of birds in your area, I recommend putting down some bird netting. Make sure and give your beds adequate water, but don't overwater because that can cause the bulbs to rot. Also, make sure your alliums are well weeded. You can grow weeds or you can grow alliums, but you can't grow both. Your onions should be ready to harvest about midsummer when about half the leaves start to turn yellow. Then you just want to cure them for a couple of days in a partially shaded area and they'll be ready to store. So enjoy your organic vegetables and grow organic for life.